Yes, everybody. Welcome back in the building. Today's Europa League final day, but as we've seen, obviously, with the Frimpong news and the Kirkez news, it seems like we want to get our business done early this summer. Obviously, you saw the news yesterday that Man City have dropped out of the race to sign Florian Wirtz, and apparently, guys, we're going all in. We're pushing with everything that we can to try to get this deal over the line, that we're willing to put the money towards the player. It obviously will be a record-breaking transfer if it does go through. The main competition is Bayern, but trust me, we wouldn't have stayed in the race this long had Wirtz, not only Wirtz himself, but his team, his family, everybody involved within his camp, had they not said that they were interested in the move. Trust me, we wouldn't have wasted our time in this way. So to say that, he's just 100% going to go to Bayern, I don't believe that personally, because I really don't think we're the type of club, or at least our sporting team isn't the type of team to continue to pursue a player who doesn't have interest in joining. Obviously, the reports are saying that he's probably leaning towards Bayern and that there's maybe a bigger chance as of right now that he's going to Bayern, but trust, he would have shown signs. And I'll tell you what exactly the latest update is around Wirtz. But first off, how's everybody doing in the building? I hope you guys are having a beautiful Wednesday. We'll be back live tonight as well for the Europa League final. Hello, Caleb. Nice to see you in the building. But yeah, the most recent report, guys, comes from Christian Falk, who was the first to break the news as well. Christian Falk is from Sport Bild, right? He's from Sport Bild, but he's reliable for usually, I would say, he's reliable for all the news around the Bundesliga and reports like that. And he's the one that initially broke it before Paul Joyce spoke about it, before David Ornstein spoke about our interest. So I would say he was the first out of the whole lot. So Michael Edwards called a U.S. meeting. He's going to be flying over to the U.S. to be seeing John Henry live in person. And I've seen many people online saying, why doesn't he just organize a Zoom? Why fly all the way there? I think it's because this is a record-breaking deal. It would cost around 150 million euros to get this deal over the line to sign the 22-year-old star, which is around 126 million pounds. But again, when you look at how much the likes of Ugo Ekitike or a Benjamin Sesko would cost, it makes sense, this kind of price tag, because he's elite already and he's just 22 years old and he's proven that he can be at the top of world football. Yo, Magical Real, nice to see you in the building. How's it going? Leo following the Frimpong case. Who's the best right back ever? That's tough, but I do think Trent probably is our most talented right back ever. I do think that. I don't think we've ever had anybody like him. But yeah, so the attacking midfielder, so one is immediate transfer. Liverpool are increasing. So this is what Christian Falk is saying. Liverpool's increased pressure may threaten this transfer to Bayern. The Merseysiders are taking the next step in the poker game for Florian Wirtz. Now that Man City is out of the race, Michael Edwards will fly to Boston this week to meet Liverpool's owners, FSG, in order to approve the funds for this potential transfer. The meeting in the US was called at short notice following Wirtz's family visit. The Liverpool boss's aim is to snatch the midfielder away from Bayern, where he seemed to have been bound. So guys, again, this Wirtz's family came to visit Liverpool as well. You cannot tell me that Wirtz's family would come to visit Liverpool, the training ground, all that, if he didn't have some kind of interest in moving to the Premier League or moving to Liverpool. So the report also says Liverpool have been keeping a close eye on the footballer's development for years, and information has been gathered. Now Arne Slot's outfit sees its chance to strike for their opportunity. The money is available because following the extensions of Virgil van Dijk and Mohamed Salah until 2027, the Premier League winning team doesn't require a hugely expensive rebuild. The idea is that Liverpool can strengthen at the top, building on a world-class spine. So that's the report from Christian Falk. Like I said, he's the reporter from Germany that initially broke all the reports, and then David Ornstein also reported that we're in the race, that we want to sign him, that we're serious about it. And like I said, trust me, I'm not saying that we're going to get the deal over the line, but it just shows the intent from us the way that we act in the market, and the reason why I'm telling you I don't think we signed anyone really last summer, is because we'll have our top kind of priority signings where we say, look, we get this player, you get this player, and he's going to make all the difference in the team. And I think when they looked at Florian Wirtz, they saw the type of profile where if he came into Anislot's side, he would make the world of difference, you know? And so I think that's why we're pushing hard on him. And what gives me a little bit of hope as well, the fact that Leverkusen haven't sold a player. I saw this today. Leverkusen haven't sold a player to Bayern, obviously their straight rival, in 21 years. And I think on the Leverkusen side of things, because they'll be getting just as much money from Liverpool as they would from Bayern, I think Leverkusen obviously would rather sell to Liverpool. So maybe Leverkusen as a club is putting a bit of pressure on Florian Wirtz's camp to choose Liverpool over Bayern. And then there's the other side of things, which is just, again, the intent that we've shown in the market already. The fact that we've already sealed the deal for one of his teammates in Jeremy Frimpong, right? Who's the here we go has already happened. He's signing his contract probably as I'm speaking right now, because the report from Fabrizio was that it's in these 24 hours that he's signing that contract. So you'll have a fellow teammate that's already joined the club. It looks like we're moving hard on Kirkez. So from the outside looking in, Wirtz not only obviously sees us as Premier League champions, but also the intent that we're willing to spend 100 million euros plus on him, and then revamping the team in the fullback positions and under this new manager, you know. So I personally believe it can be done. I know it's going to be very difficult because these kind of deals are not simple. But I'm unlike many others who are like, oh, how could you believe that he would choose Liverpool over Bayern? I don't think it's over. That race is over, like many people are saying, because of all the reasons I just gave you. And like I said too, we're not the type to waste our time around any target. So the only reason we would continue pursuing him is, like the report said, Florian Wirtz and his family came to Liverpool to visit the ground, hear about the project and everything. Bro, you don't come to Liverpool and hear about the project and all that if you don't have genuine interest. And yes, I think there's a very big possibility he goes to Bayern too, but I would not count us out because of how seriously we're signing him. And I would put it on the same, if we end up getting a deal like this done, again, I'm not saying it's done by any means, I would put it in the bracket of a Virgil van Dijk type signing, Alisson Becker type signing. Because remember, back in the day, Alisson was the most expensive ever goalkeeper when we signed him from Roma. Obviously, that was broken, I think, like within the same year when Chelsea signed Kepa. But back then, Alisson was the record fee for a goalkeeper. Virgil was the record fee for a defender. If we felt a player would come in and elevate the team that by that many levels, we're willing to spend, you guys. And yes, it's true. Back then we sold Coutinho. But guys, if we want to shift players on this summer, you'll have seen the report. Barcelona really want to sign Luis Diaz, and we could ask for 75 million plus. Darwin, there's a lot of interest for Darwin from Saudi. There's a lot of moving pieces this summer that we could sell to raise money if need be. So for those also saying, oh, look, the only reason we signed Virgil and Alisson back in the day was because we sold Coutinho to Barca, well, that type of thing could happen this summer again. Like I said, I could see our South Americans potentially leaving. I know many of us want Lucho to stay. He's had a fantastic season. He's been our second best attacker behind Mohamed Salah. But I think if a 70 million, 75 million bid came in from a Barca or a Saudi club, I think we'd really consider it. Why? One, because he's 28 years old. And we would basically make double the amount of money that we paid for him from FC Porto. Two, so yeah, he's 28 years old. We've had him for about 2 to 3 years. And three, his current deal expires in 2027. So if we decided to keep him, we'd have to offer him a new contract this summer because I don't think he's happy being on £55,000 a week. So that would also be very costly for the club. When you go through a contract extension, especially for a key player like Lucho, that costs the club a lot of money. So I think those moving pieces, in my opinion, I think we could see Lucho leaving this summer. And if Lucho leaves, again, that's major funds coming in. And that's why I think we'd be willing to sanction such a big move for Florian Wirtz because, yes, he would cost a lot of money, but I think we see him on the bracket of an Alisson type signing, a Virgil van Dijk signing, someone who comes in and right away elevates us to a different level. And that's truly what Virgil and Alisson did. That's truly what they've done at this football club, and that's the way that I think we view all of them, That's the way I think we view this signing, and that's why I think we're going all in. Seriously. What happened about the Konate contract situation, Pratik? So the Konate contract situation. So for that one, apparently we're holding crunch talks. We're holding crunch talks around Ibu Konate, and we do really want him to stay. And my prediction is he will stay, because the more you look at the market and you look at realistic center back signings, if Ibu Konate does end up leaving, I think our recruitment team will realize how difficult it will be to replace Ibu Konate, and therefore I think we're going to get very close to the kind of money he's asking for, him and his agent, which is £200,000 a week. So my personal prediction, of course, Pratik, my personal prediction is Ibu will extend. And why? A big reason is I think more and more will be willing to pay him the money that he's asking for. Like I said, because it's going to be incredibly difficult to replace him in the market. I see a lot of you guys mentioning Jorel Hato. Yes, very good talent for the future, but he's not a center back that can come in and right away be on the levels of an Ibu Konate. So that's why I think we're gonna give him the money that he demands, because you don't go about in the market easily replacing an Ibu type signing. I think there would have been a bigger chance of it happening had we signed Dean Huijsen, because I think Dean Huijsen, I think we rated him that highly where he could have been a starter right away, but I don't think the likes of Jorel Hato, because he's not Premier League proven, I don't think we'd risk selling Ibu this summer and bring in someone like a Hato and for him to be starting right away. You know what I mean? Yo, big up Liverpool fan from Lithuania. Who's the most overrated? I'm not a fan of that. What do you think about City joining the Kirkez race? It just shows we have to move. And apparently the reason why, yes, we're very advanced in our talks with Kirkez. We're talking with the players' camp on personal terms, and he's keen to join Liverpool. Apparently the reason why right now the negotiations aren't fully moving forward is because Bournemouth have been very clear that they want to sell him for £45 million, and apparently we're trying to negotiate a bit less, like £38 million, £39 million with maybe some installments. And I think Bournemouth is holding out for the fee that they want, and it's obviously going to help them in the negotiations if Man City have joined the race, because they can go to Liverpool and say, listen, City is willing to pay closer to 45 million, so we have no reason to sell to you. We're just going to sell to the club that's willing to pay the most money. So I think City joining the race probably means we won't be able to bargain in the way that we wanted to, but hopefully we still get that deal over the line, because I don't want him joining our rivals. This guy is a baller. I mean, just think about it. When we faced Bournemouth this season, he did so well up against Mohamed Salah. Many people talk about how incredible he is going forward, Kirkez, because he's so quick. He has goals to his game. He's such a threat overlapping and on the attacking side of things. But I think a lot of people do underestimate that his defensive side of the game is very strong as well. And we got to see that when we played Bournemouth this season. Mohamed Salah didn't have an easy time, So he is a well-rounded fullback, and we got to get that deal over the line. 100% we got to get that deal over the line. Yo, Tabizo from South Africa, big up in the building. Champion says, I love your channel. Thank you. What I would love if not Wirtz, I think unfortunately selling Tsimi, Darwin, Jota, Joe Gomez, and loan Doak, Morn, and Chiesa, and sign Hato, Cherki, Kirkez, Stiller. You'll never walk alone. Wow, that would be a big window, but I do think we're set for a big window, so I don't think that's out of the question, champion. Charlotte, nice to see you in the building, says Lola. I'm trying to listen to the stream at work, and my boss wants me to watch the UK Parliament right now. No thanks. Let's talk about Wirtz, baby. Yes, Charlotte, always bringing that good energy. Is Wirtz required for Liverpool since Szoboszlai is good? Szoboszlai is very good. I read some of the reports. I'm telling you guys, Wirtz is an incredibly versatile attacker. I think if we sign Wirtz, it does not mean that Szoboszlai is no longer in the starting 11. I don't believe that. I think we find a way to work both in. And again, with the amount of games in the Champions League now, the fact that we are going to go far in every competition, remember, there's also 2 games a week. And the amount of running the likes of Szoboszlai does anyways, I don't think it's back in the day like you play the same team all the time. So I think, both, even if Wirtz is signed, Szoboszlai will still be a key player for us. And like I said, I definitely think there's ways Slot can find a way to start Gravenberch, Maka, Szoboszlai, and Wirtz in his team. I really think there's ways, whether that be Wirtz as maybe on the wing or as a false nine. There's different ways you can integrate him into the team. But what's for sure is, like I said, if you pay that kind of fee for Wirtz, he's absolutely going to be the key player for you. And a key player for you for the future, but also for the present. Otherwise, we wouldn't be willing to pay a record fee like that. We wouldn't be willing to. That's just the reality. What about a center forward? Let's not do the mistake Arsenal is doing right now. I think it's different, Kirill, because the reason why I think we're very different to an Arsenal is because we have goals coming from other places. Cody Gakpo is a goal scorer. Obviously, Mohamed Salah is like the record goal scorer in the league. So we have goals coming from other areas of the pitch. So if we sign Wirtz, he will also add lots of goals, so much creativity. So I don't think you can compare us to Arsenal because I don't think there's a killer in Arsenal's side. And mind you, Mohamed Salah is still going to be here for 2 more years. If Salah had left this summer, I would have completely agreed with you. It would have been essential for us to get a killer number 9 goal scorer. But we have Mohamed Salah. And, I don't know if Mohamed Salah will have the same kind of season next season as he's had this season, but he always guarantees you goals. Apart from the few people that still think he's a one-season wonder. But I think most of us in the building know he's not a one-season wonder. But yeah, I think we're very different to Arsenal, let's be honest. The new home kit is nice, bro. I just can't wait for us to announce all the Adidas shirts for next season. I cannot wait. Do you think Benjamin Sesko would work for us? The price tag I hear mentioned makes me think we're not going to go for him. Apparently, Leipzig are asking for around 100 million euros. Again, I think we'd rather go all out on a Florian Wirtz than paying that kind of money for Benjamin Sesko. I really think, Leo, do you think Lucho will leave for Barca this season? Rockify. I think if they're able to gather the money that Liverpool would want for Lucho, which is around 75 million, I think he goes to Barca, yes. But that's all dependent on Barca finding the money. And the reason I think it would happen is, like I just mentioned before, on the one end, the really reliable. I spoke to a Barca fan community last night. He has like 1.2 million followers on Instagram, and he does all the news around Barca. So he knows all the journalists, and he told me the journalist that reported on this yesterday, saying that Lucho is the top priority signing for Barcelona because initially it was Alexander Isak, but he's unobtainable this summer. Like Newcastle won't sell him at any price. So now their top priority, because they want to sign an attacker this summer, is Luis Diaz. And the reporter, so I asked this, like the Barca page that has, like I told you, 1.2 million followers. He knows all the journalists. He said this journalist is top tier for Barca related news. Like, he's super reliable. So it is true that Barca's number one top priority signing is Luis Diaz, but he obviously would cost a lot of money. Like I said, 75 million plus. So Barca needs to find the money. If Barca finds the money, I think it happens. Because like I said, on the one hand, Lucho's dream would be to move to Barcelona, and you can understand most South Americans, it's their dream to eventually move there. And then on the other hand, I think even though he's had a very good season for us, I think we'd be willing to sell for the 3 reasons I mentioned before. 1, the fact that he's 28 years old, so he's not that young, so it would be around the right time to sell him. 2, the fact that we need to offer, like, his contract expires in 2027, so. And then the third aspect is if he doesn't move on to another club, I think we'd have to offer him a new contract this summer, which again will be very costly for the club because it means we'd probably have to offer him 150 to 200,000 pounds a week, which is a major increase from what he's earning right now. Because right now he's on 55,000 a week. Yeah, Patrick, go check on TikTok right now. I did it. Go check on TikTok. Yo, Siberian Republic, nice to see you in the building. And so, yeah, we'd have to give him that big wage increase and more years on the current deal that he has. So for all those reasons, I think this signing would make sense because, like I said, on the one hand, Barca really want him this summer, and on the other, I think we'd be willing to sell at the right price because I think it would be the right moment to sell a Lucho type player. As much as we rate him, as much as I think Slot likes him, it would just be an intelligent moment in the market to sell him because, like I said, he is 28, and yeah, we shall see. We shall see what ends up happening. But this is why, like I told you, the reason why I truly believe, and I see there's lots of comments, people saying, oh, Leo, you're so deluded. How do you believe we're going to be signing Lucho this summer? Sorry, not Lucho. How do you believe that we're going to sign Florian Wirtz? Not because, like I said, not because FSG suddenly have a massive wallet where they're going to like spend all this money, but because we're going to be selling players in many areas if need be. And I think there's a lot of interest, especially in our attackers this summer, which can bring in major funds. And that's why I do believe that we won't shy away from spending 100. The reported price for Florian Wirtz is 125 million pounds, which would be a record feat. But again, like I was telling you guys before, I think Michael Edwards sees Florian Wirtz as a Alisson Virgil type signing, but in the creative department in the final third, which obviously costs you more than a defensive signing. Attackers always cost more usually than defenders, you know? Ryan says, so you're telling me you're signing 2 players, that's it. What a joke of a club. Barcelona, Real Madrid are signing so many players. I didn't say 2 players. When did I say that, Ryan? I never said we're signing 2 players. My prediction for this window is we sign a right back, which is already done, Frimpong. We'll sign a left back. It looks like it's going to be Kirkez. We sign a striker / attacking midfielder. So that could be a Wirtz or let's say an Alvarez, but it doesn't look like Alvarez will be happening. It looks like he's definitely staying at Atletico Madrid. So let's say like a Benjamin Sesko or a Wirtz and then a center back. So I think minimum 4. And I think more if, like I said, there's even more outgoings. I could see a midfielder on top. Whatever happens, in Edwards we trust. We go by data and not the name. Just watch Moneyball yesterday. Let's celebrate now. Completely agree. And this is what I mean. Like I was asked yesterday because, you know, I'm half French. So I got asked by a few people, what do you think about signing Ugo Ekitike? Because Frankfurt want to sell him this summer. And he has had a very good season. He stepped up when Marmoush went to City. So he showed that he's not afraid to kind of step up if he's kind of the star player for a team, which he did for Frankfurt, and Frankfurt qualified for the Champions League. So he really was a major player for Frankfurt this season. I got asked, Leo, what do you think about Ugo Ekitike coming to Liverpool? And I said, you know, to be honest, I'm not that hyped about that signing just because he hasn't proven to be elite over many seasons. And so I think there's a bit of a risk there. But I also said, on the other hand, Michael Edwards is going to be at the helm. So, right, he's the football CEO. So he, especially the big signings, he's going to have to sign off on them. So he's going to have done the homework, especially on our marquee signing this summer. And if Michael Edwards is convinced that, let's say it's Ugo Ekitike, if Michael Edwards is convinced that Ugo Ekitike is that guy that will come in and can up it a gear or two and become an elite player in the future, and Richard Hughes is convinced of that, and Arne Slot, then and the deal happens, let's just say, and the deal will only happen if they believe that to be the case, then I'm on board at 1,010%. Because like I said, they know that stuff. They have the data. They're doing the research way deeper than I am. You know what I mean? That's their job. They're paid way more money than I'll ever be paid in my lifetime to do that. And that's why whoever we do end up signing, bro, you best believe I'm gonna back it, because the 3 main people, in my opinion, that have to check it off. So say, okay, go for it. Let's spend the money on whichever player it'll be this summer. It'll be, I think, Edwards first, because he's like the big CEO. He's going to be the CEO of football, but as of right now, he's obviously focused on Liverpool because FSG still haven't acquired another club. I think first it's Michael Edwards. Then he needs to make sure Slot says, yes, he suits my system. Yes, I want the player. And then 3, Richard Hughes. And Richard Hughes, I think, is more the one that deals with all of the specific negotiations. So the the negotiations with the transfer fee, personal agreement with the player, the agent, all of that, that's Richard Hughes, the details on the transfers. But like I said, big picture is Edwards. And I'm telling you, no signings this summer will happen unless those three have signed off on them. And do I trust Michael Edwards, Arne Slot, and Richard Hughes? Yes, I do. That's all I'm going to say. That's all I'm going to say. And the reason why am I so excited about the Wirtz signing? The fact that all three of them clearly rate him that highly, where they say, let's go for the record fee. Let's go for the record fee and push for him, which is what we're doing with Florian Wirtz. And I agree, there's probably a bigger chance that he goes to Bayern, right? Probably. Yes, Patrick, there's probably a bigger chance, but I love the fact that we're pushing hard. I love the fact that we're pushing hard. Yeah, Floriat says, dude, the owners will need to sign it off. I agree. But Floriat, Michael Edwards is the key in that happening, because the reports are saying that, for example, because this Florian Wirtz signing is a record fee, Michael Edwards is literally flying to Boston this week to be in person with John Henry and the FSG executives to tell him that he's worth that amount of money. And let me tell you, apparently the same thing happens with all of the Red Sox, right? FSG also own the Red Sox, the baseball team in MLB. Apparently it's the same thing happens. If the Red Sox want to sign a really expensive player, then the executives have to have like an in-person meeting, because it is such a major investment, and Florian Wirtz would be the record fee, you know? So the fact that we're pushing this hard, guys, let me tell you, it means we're very serious about this signing. Very, very serious. And that's what has me really excited. Whether we get him or not, I'm just telling you guys, it shows our intent. And under Edwards, you can be against, for, neutral, whatever about our ownership. Edwards in the past, like I told you guys, I mentioned the Alisson and Virgil signings. If we were convinced a player would elevate us to another level, we'd be willing to spend the money. Back in the day when we signed Virgil van Dijk, trust me, a lot of people were like, what? Had they spent 75 million on a center back? He was the most expensive defender at the time. Has it proven to be successful? I'd say so. Same with Alisson. Same with Alisson Becker, bro. You know what I mean? Like, Salah needs 2 goals to win the goal. Oh, yeah, the European Golden Boot. Yeah, Salah needs 2 goals, but Mbappe could get it too this weekend. That's if Mbappe doesn't score, yeah. Fetty says, who's a better signing, Wirtz, Alvarez, or Isaac? I'm not a fan of questions like that, though, Fetty, because I think Isaac and Alvarez are out of the question. I think it was the owner, someone really high up at Atletico Madrid, had a press conference yesterday saying that Alvarez was not for sale this summer, that he's not leaving by any means. And I do believe that. I don't think Alvarez is going to be available on the market, unfortunately, this summer. He was my dream, not happening. And same with Alexander Isak. So, Fetty, the reason why I think we also are pushing so hard for Florian Wirtz is because I think Isak and Alvarez are unobtainable this summer. Why? Because both of them have still at least 3 years left on their deals, so the clubs are in no hurry to sell them, and I don't think either of those players were forced to move because both teams are in a good place. So I think both of them players, there's no chance of us getting them, and that's, in my opinion, another reason why we're pushing so hard for Florian Wirtz, because we know those 2 other elite attackers that probably were in our short list that we would have paid big money for this summer are unobtainable, like genuinely unobtainable, you know? Will you go to the parade? Yes, I will, Hamza. I just don't know where in the parade yet. K98 says Will's Wirtz suit slot system. I mean, K98, if we're willing to pay 125 million pounds for Florian Wirtz, you best believe he's going to fit at his slot system. He's going to, trust me, we would not, especially with how careful we are with our recruitment and how spot on we've been with our recruitment, we would not be spending a record fee like that if he somehow was just going to be a bench player and didn't fit slot system. Trust me. That would be ludicrous. Wirtz is such a marquee signing. Patrick, I think he'd probably be the most hyped I'd be about a signing. Probably. That I could remember. If Wirtz comes, then wage structure will be very awkward. No, I don't think his wage demands will be that wild because of his age and everything like that. I don't think wages are the biggest issue, honestly, with Florian Wirtz. I think, like I said, it's more convincing him to go to Liverpool instead of Bayern, because Bayern is usually where the best German players go. That's just what the history shows. You know what I mean? That's what the history has shown. Babat says, I just don't want to get my hopes too high. I can't deal with another heartbreak. Babat, I can deal with another heartbreak. You know why? Because of what I was mentioning before. I fully back our recruitment team to get the players that we need to get. I mean, just think about the summer. 2 summers ago, our top priority signing for midfield was Aurelien Tchouameni, right? He obviously ended up going to Real Madrid, but we tried to sign him, I think, twice under Jurgen Klopp. We didn't end up getting him. So, in the market, we found alternatives. We went for the likes of Gravenberch, Maka, not saying they're the same profile players, but signing a Tchouameni would have cost big money. And instead, we went for other midfielders, right? So that summer where we signed Soboslai, Maka, Gravenberch, Wataru Endo. I would say especially Gravenberch and Endo, many of us weren't convinced when we signed them, right? Look how they ended up. Look how they ended up. Many people have been saying this season we have the best midfield in the Premier League. And that's after us not getting our top target, which, like I said, was Tchouameni, because I know that we tried to sign him twice under Jurgen Klopp. And that's why, me personally, Blade, even if Wirtz doesn't end up coming, I'm going to remain positive. Why? Because I fully back whoever our plan B is going to work out. And I think our plan B is Ryan Cherki, if I could have a guess. If I could have a guess at it, I think our plan B will be Ryan Cherki. And again, if we're willing to go for him, I would back him to succeed because the track record. No, Daryl, like I said, even if it's not Wirtz, I'm going to be hyped about this summer because this is a sign of intent. No, Hinbon, it's last summer we signed no one. The summer before, so 2 summers ago, we signed 4 midfielders. We went through an entire midfield rebuild in 1 summer. And how do you think that ended up going? Maka, Gravenberch, Soboslai, and Wataru Endo. We signed those 4 for less than Chelsea signed Lavia and Caicedo. That's all. That's all. That's all I have to say on the matter. If Wirtz doesn't come, we could also go for Xavi Simons. Yeah, I think if we don't end up getting Florian Wirtz and he goes to Bayern, I think our plan B is either Ryan Cherki or Xavi Simons. That's my personal prediction. I think those are our backup options that could still be really successful signings, but not on the elite level of a Florian Wirtz. And they would obviously cost a lot less. Yes, FC FIFA, nice to see you in the building. Thanks for the support as always. That's the right attitude, Leo. Too many negative moaners online these days. Yeah, Richard Little. I mean, if you think I'm going to be moaning when we're Premier League champions and we just got the Frimpong deal done for under 30 million pounds, then bro, I would have to be the most depressed person in the world. But you're right. Online, so many people moan all day long. And for all of those of you that are in the channel right now that have shown support in the past, it really means the world. But you just know that from me, you're just going to get positivity. Why? Because my fundamental belief, and I think this is Jurgen Klopp's philosophy, so for me, he's my idol, so I learned so much from him. He always said, even though football means the world to us, there's so many more important things than football. So many more important things. I mean, if you just look around what's happening in the world, you look at politics, you look at the ongoing wars, for me, football is a safe space for us to come together and be distracted from a lot of the hardships around the world. That for me, that I believe football is that powerful tool. And I do think when we come in the building, it's not a place to talk about politics. Why? Because, well, first off, I'm not the best informed on it. But also, like I said, I think for many of us, football is a beautiful escape from some of the realities, the dark realities of the world. And that's why, for me, my philosophy is I'm always going to be positive around football. Even if we lose, I don't know what, there's always a light at the end of the tunnel. At the end of the storm, there's always that light. And right now, we got to soak in the light of us being Premier League champions and clearly willing to spend big this summer and making sure that we go on and win our 21st league title next season. But bro, if I wasn't positive during these times, woo, or if someone's not positive during these times, bro, I will send you the number of my therapist, because I think then you need major help. Because then you always see the world half empty, a glass half empty, and I could never do that. The pro says, Leo, are you going to the game on Sunday? Because I am, and I hope I see you. The pro, I wish, but I haven't been able to find tickets. I'm still like reaching out to people to try to find tickets, but as of right now, I'm not going to be able to go to the game because I like the resale prices for the tickets are way too crazy. So I'm still trying to find a way to get tickets, but as of right now, I'm probably going to be at a pub around Enfield. Harith says, Leo, I'm in the hospital. See, bro, I'm praying for you and I'm sending my best to you. But this is what I mean. Like, some of you guys in the building that I've heard in the past are in the hospital, and I know it's not easy mentally being in the hospital. And that's why, trust me, at the end of the storm, there's a golden sky. Exactly, bro. And this is what I mean. Like, football, yes, for many of us is the most important of things because of how passionate we are. But let's be honest, it's also the least important of things when you, again, look at some of the things that are happening in the real world. And that, for me, till the day I die, I know my love and passion of football is never going to go down, but that philosophy will never change. Never change. Thoughts on Chiesa on Monday? Amigos, I thought we saw a lot of promising signs. I really did. Connor Bradley should have scored, for example, that opportunity in the box, and he would have gotten an assist. So for me, I saw a lot of encouraging signs yet again, and I personally do want him to stay. I really want him to stay because I believe he can be a success at Liverpool. I believe he's, in the very little amount of minutes he's had this season, he's shown enough to warrant another season. And I think he is very versatile. He's proven he can make a difference down the middle. He scored in the Carabao Cup final against Newcastle, playing down the middle. He definitely can play on the right wing, and I think his best position is on the left wing. So he's a very versatile attacker. And yeah, if I could personally choose, I would want him to stay. Because I really back him to be successful. I really do. Is that our new kit? No, this is this season's kit. Yes, Patrick, I'm gonna send you a message today, okay? I'm gonna send you a message, and apologies I haven't followed up with you. It's just because in the mornings I'm just working straight from the moment I wake up. I'm usually just editing for hours straight and preparing posts for Liverpool goals. So in the morning I'm just like completely locked in. But I'm gonna send you a message with more details. Jay, the journalist, I can give you a shout out on live streams, but not on shorts, because on shorts the videos are too short to be giving out shout outs. Otherwise it wouldn't be engaging to watch. Babat says, Leo, thoughts on Lucho potentially leaving? Like, he's just the best player on the pitch on his day, but don't know why he doesn't cook every week. Babat, if I could choose, I would rather keep him 100%. Because again, I talked about Chiesa being versatile. I think Lucho is a very versatile attacker as well. He's done very well at times for us down the middle. For example, when he was playing down the middle, he scored a hat-trick against Leverkusen. So I think he's very versatile, yeah. But like I said, for all the reasons I mentioned previously, I think there's a chance he leaves this summer. I really think. Yo, dreadfully drawn. Nice to see you in the building. Wait, I didn't realize I'm going to follow you on TikTok right now. I absolutely love your work, mate. I just followed you back on TikTok. I didn't realize you had TikTok, bro. Big fan of your work, brother. Big fan. Is there any update on Kirkez? Yeah, so like I was mentioning before, the reason why we haven't gotten a major update, apparently. Nah, no worries. No worries. I don't go on TikTok too much, though. Like right now, bro, I'm more, if you want to hop onto the YouTube, that's usually where I see the chat, but I just saw you there. On YouTube, it's also called Leo's Goals. But yeah, on Milos Kirkez, the what I heard was the latest update is, one, Man City have apparently joined the race, which is a little bit worrying, but I do think he would rather join us than City, because we also showed interest beforehand. But apparently the reason why, like, yes, we're advancing the negotiations, but apparently we're trying to negotiate a lower fee than the 45 million pounds that Bournemouth want for their left back. And apparently what I saw is we're trying to negotiate a kind of deal where it would be like 38 million with some installments. But with City joining the race, I think it gives Bournemouth more power in the negotiations. I think they can go now to Richard Hughes and say, listen, like, now City came in and they're willing to spend the 45 million pounds. So either you pay that or we turn our negotiations to Man City. So my prediction is we're going to have to pay probably more money for him than we initially wanted to, but hopefully we're just going to be forced into paying a little bit over what we wanted, because we don't want to lose out on our top left back target to our straight rivals in Man City. You know what I mean? Yes, Fetty, I'll be at the parade as well. Think we'll get Wirtz. I think we're being used. Dreadfully drawn. I think there's a chance. I really think there's a chance. And the reason I say that is because Florian Wirtz and his family and his camp came to Liverpool this week. I really don't see them going to Liverpool and being that invested in the project if they're not considering it. I really don't see them going to that extent. And then I don't see us pushing as hard as we are, which, for example, Michael Edwards is going to Boston this week to talk about how we're going to finance this deal. I don't think we'd be going to that extent if we didn't get the signs that we could really get this deal over the line, is what I'm saying. I don't think we're that dumb that we would just fall, especially the fact that Michael Edwards is the best in the business. I don't think he'd fall for just basically this being used as a way to get more money from Bayern or something. I don't see that, personally. And I do believe Leverkusen haven't sold a player to Bayern in 21 years. I do believe that Leverkusen is going to be pushing for him to go to us rather than Bayern, because they don't want to sell to, again, their rival for the title. And the fact that Wirtz could be at Bayern for the next 10 years and just completely dominate German football. Like, from their point of view, that's basically all the Bundesliga seasons now will just be Bayern winning it. Let's be real. Like, Florian Wirtz and Musiala in the attack, bro, that's like, how can any other team in Germany ever win the German title? Let's be honest. If that happens, that would just be the end of any kind of title race in Germany, if we're being real, because that duo would be insane. Florian Wirtz and Yamal Musiala behind Harry Kane. And then they also have Michael Olise, who's been arguably the best player this season. So, it would just be over. It would just be over if that happens. Will Lucho go? Like I said, it all depends whether either Saudi or Barca are able to come up with the money. If either are able to come up with the money, then I think he will go. I think he will go. Uchiwa says, Wirtz has already played in the Bundesliga for so long, Leo. I think this deal will happen. It's that time of his age where he should be thinking of upgrading his game. Liverpool would be the best choice. Uchiwa, I see what you're saying, but I also think Bayern would be such an exciting project for him. Why? Because basically he'd win the Bundesliga every season, which is still a big deal to win the German title when you're German. He's obviously, that's his nationality. And I also think he believes if he joins Bayern, they could seriously go for the Champions League. I mean, like I said, their attack will literally be Florian Wirtz, Musiala, Michael Olise, and Harry Kane. That front four, for me, there's going to be nothing better in world football. So I don't see how they don't go for the Champions League. So to say that Bayern isn't a very exciting project, I think that's... We must keep Harvey Elliott though. Like he was again impressive against Brighton. Babat, unfortunately, I think Harvey Elliott will leave this summer. And why? You guys would have heard the interview that he gave after the Brighton game. He basically said he's just focusing on the final game at the weekend. But if you listen to his exact words, and I prepared a video today. There's gonna be a video out on Harvey Elliott. But my personal prediction is I do think he leaves. I think he leaves because he said I have to do what's best for my career. And if he says that, if he says that, I worry that means that he wants to go for first team football, because I just don't see how he would get that many more minutes next season than he did this season, because next season Slot will be able to bring in his own signings, and he barely got any playing time this season. So I think there's a really good chance Harvey would go. I think he would go either to a Brighton, for example, because they're apparently interested, or a Borussia Dortmund. Obviously, he's very highly rated in world football. According to a bunch of journalists, I saw that many teams would be interested, and it makes sense. Like the fact that many of us Liverpool fans are desperate for him to stay shows how highly we rate him. So imagine how much he could shine for a team if he was like a pivotal part of that, attack. Like he could really shine at another club. Andre says, hi Leo, what if Wirtz wants Bayern and he'll only push for a move to Bayern in a couple years, same as with Huijsen and Real? That's not what the reports are saying, though. That's not what the reports are saying. And if that's true, Andre, then he would join Bayern right now. That's why I don't believe it's the same Andre. Look, Huijsen, when Real Madrid became interested in Dean Huijsen, immediately he said yes, and he's obviously already a Madrid player now. Florian Wirtz has a chance to go to Bayern right now, and if the only thing on his mind was Bayern, then we wouldn't be in the race. Trust me, we would not be in the race. We wouldn't be wasting our time like this. So I don't think it's the same as the Dean Huijsen and Real Madrid thing. I don't think it is. Daryl says, if we sell Lucho, then I believe we sign Gordon. I agree. I could see that one happening. I think we sign either. For me, it's 50-50. I think we sign Anthony Gordon or Rodrigo from Real Madrid. I think one of those two, if Lucho leaves. And they're both versatile, by the way. Rodrigo can play left wing and right wing, and Gordon can play left wing and right wing. So that's another really attractive part of signing either one of those players. Like I said, an Anthony Gordon or a Rodrigo. Andre says it's about Leverkusen not wanting to sell to Bayern. That's why I'm saying same as with Huijsen. But Andre, he came to Liverpool this week to visit the training ground, and he wouldn't be like, he could force a move to Bayern. Trust me, he wouldn't be like all the reliable journalists are saying he's very interested in the Liverpool project. So I don't see why he would be saying those things if his ultimate dream was just Bayern. Because trust me, if his ultimate dream was Bayern, he could force a move there. Trust me, he could. He has some power in those negotiations. Leo, Rodrigo and Wirtz in the same summer window won't happen. Please be realistic. Garvid, I would agree, but you have to. I'm talking about players that would leave. If a Lucho left, he would cost the same. Rodrigo, apparently, if Madrid sell Rodrigo this summer, it would be around the 70-75 million mark because he wants to leave. And we wouldn't sell for Lucho unless it was for that same money. So for me, Garvid, I didn't say we were going to sign a Rodrigo on top of keeping Lucho. I said if we end up selling Lucho, then I think we'd have the funds to sign a Rodrigo or Gordon. Otherwise, I agree with you. It's not realistic at all. But it's only if he leaves, because I think Saudi's going to push hard for him and Barca's going to push hard for him. Like I said, he's Barca's top priority signing this summer. Babat says, this is a good question. Babat says, what do you think is something that Slot does better than Klopp, and what's a thing that Slot might need to improve? I like that question a lot. So first off, what's a thing that Slot does better than Klopp? I think one of the only weaknesses in Klopp's game, and I guess it's also a positive because he was so good in his management, but I think Klopp sometimes was a bit too loyal to certain players. And again, I think that's not just a negative, it's also a positive. I think that's it shows that he fully backs his players and he's gonna be there no matter what for his players. But I think that's just because he's ultimately loyal to them. I think Slot is much more brutal in his management style. I think he's not going to be attached to any player. He just wants to win and he doesn't care if a player is unhappy, this or that. I think he's a lot more brutal in that sense compared to Klopp, which I think is a good thing in some ways. But what could he improve? What could he improve? I think trusting more of his squad. I think at times he overplayed certain players this season. Again, I'm not going to criticize too much though because we're Premier League champions, but if I could just say one thing, I think there are a lot of quality players like Chiesa, like Harvey Elliott, that deserve to get more minutes this season. And I'm not even saying like starts, just like maybe 30 minutes off the bench. And he didn't really do that. There's many moments where I felt like he didn't fully trust his squad. But again, it's true, it wasn't his squad. He didn't get a chance to really make his own signings. But specifically, for example, Harvey and Chiesa, I felt they deserved to get more minutes this season. So that's where I feel like he could improve. Mo says, is Alisson leaving? Definitely not. Look at how he's performing. Look how Alisson played against Brighton again. He's incredible. Jeff says Georgi Mamadashvili or Alisson Becker for first choice. I don't even think that's a question, bro. I don't think that's a question because Alisson Becker is up there with the best goalkeeper in the world. I mean, this season you could say maybe Donnarumma with the way he's played in the Champions League, but Alisson also had one of the greatest goalkeeping performances. I got to witness it live at the Parc des Princes against PSG. I think there's no chance a keeper starts over Alisson. I mean, look at this weekend. How many saves did he make against Brighton? So I think Mamadashvili has to accept that he's going to have the type of role that Keller had. Yo, Mighty Reds, my bro. Brendan says, brother, where do you think Kelleher will go? I think there's a good chance he goes to a Leeds, for example, like a promoted side. Why? Because they have a lot of money, right? When championship teams get promoted, they usually spend a decent amount on the market. And I think we minimum want to hold out for a £30 million fee for Kelleher, which some clubs in other countries probably can't sanction that amount of money for a goalkeeper. But I think we're going to hold out for a big fee for him because we know he can perform at the top Premier League level and he can perform at the top Champions League level. Look at the way he performed against Real Madrid, saving an Mbappe penalty. So I think we rate him very highly, rightfully so. So I don't think we sell him for anything less than £30 million. And yeah, Brendan, I think the only type of teams that could pay that kind of money are, for example, Leeds. But I would be so happy for him if he joined like a Bayern. Imagine for him, like a Bayern. That would be crazy. Samin says, Leo, did you see a video where Chiesa played COD with a YouTuber? No, I didn't see that. Yo, Persian Pride says, good afternoon, chat. New to the channel. Welcome, Persian Pride. Thank you for subscribing. Who says 52-year-old fan of Liverpool. Love from Iran in the UK. Leo's goals, you'll never walk alone. Persian Pride, nice to see you in the building. Wow, 52 years. So you've seen the ups and downs of Liverpool Football Club. So you must be, what a time to be alive. What a time to be alive. Nice to see you in the building and thank you for subscribing. It means a lot. Leo, do a long form video predicting all UEFA finals. Ooh, Garvit. The thing is, I can't predict. I'm the worst predictor. Like, if you ask me who's going to win the Champions League final, PSG or Inter, like, every day I have a different opinion. Because one day I'm like, PSG have been so good this season. Their attack is unbelievable. And then the next day I'm like, Inter are so solid defensively. They have that fight in them that they're just going to get the result over the line. So I literally have no clue what's going to happen in that final. And that's why I think it will be a really, really great Champions League final because no one knows who's going to win. Compared to, for example, in the past, when City played Inter in the final, I was so confident City would win and it ended up happening. So I think this Champions League final should be a really great one because, like I said, I think anyone who can confidently predict that one doesn't really know what they're saying because I really think it's going to be very, very tight between both teams. Toby, thank you for the super chat, who says, do you think Chiesa leaves Leo? He's so loved here. Yeah, we were talking about him before. I really, really hope that Chiesa stays at the club. I was impressed with his performance against Brighton. Like I said, he should have had an assist. What Connor Bradley just put that wide when he was in the box there. It was a great pass for him. I personally would love for him to stay because he's also versatile. He can play on the right. He proved he can play down the middle. He scored against Newcastle in the final. His best position's on the left. But given how little Slot has played him, makes me think he doesn't back him in his team. And that makes me think if, for example, a Napoli come in with a 20 million bid this summer, maybe we do accept it because Slot doesn't back him in his team. I don't know. But Toby, if I had to predict, I think there's probably a good chance he leaves, unfortunately. But like you say, he's so loved here. My hope is that he stays and gets a proper opportunity next season because I'm a big fan of his. Big fan of his. Lucky says, do you think we'll sign a center back? I definitely think so. Why? Also because I think Kwanzaa or Joe Gomez could leave this summer. So I really do think we'll sign a center back. And the obvious option right now seems like Jorel Hato because we've been linked with him from reliable sources for a long while now. And he's obviously Dutch, so he'd have Frimpong at the club. He'd have Virgil in defense with him as well. He'd have Gravenberch. He'd have Cody Gakpo. So it would be the perfect environment for him to come into. Obviously, Slot, who's Dutch as a manager. So I think that seems like the most obvious option. But yes, I do think we sign a center back this summer. I do think so. Mario says, yeah, I heard that too. Slot said in a press conference that Chiesa has a place in the squad. I agree, but I think also you're pretty diplomatic in press conferences. You're always going to speak nicely on your players, but for me, what really matters is what actually happens on the pitch. That's where we really get to see, and the fact that he's barely gotten any minutes, even when he's been fit, for me is pretty telling. You know what I mean? Maybe Murillo. No, the Forest center back. I think he just picked up a very serious injury in the last game. Yeah, TKV says Jadon Dance hasn't played a game since moving to Sunderland. Yeah, he picked up an injury and he came back to Liverpool. So yeah, he's not even on loan there anymore. He's back with the academy. Zero. I'm not even sure if Bayern want Kelleher. That's the problem. I'm not even sure. LFC Archie says, I think the Frimpong signing will be announced at 1 p.m. UK time. I think he's already signed the contract. We just need to announce it. Came from TikTok. Let's go, LFC Archie. I hope so. That would be beautiful. If we got to see the announcement today, I'd be buzzing. What about Lookman on the left wing? I think we would try for Gordon and Rodrigo before we try for Lookman. Also, because Lookman would have to leave for AFCON, and I think we wouldn't want to lose two key attackers during AFCON, with obviously Mohamed Salah leaving in December to potentially start of February this next season. What about Tyler Moore and LC Avery? I think he's 100% leaving the club this summer, and it seems like we're going to be trying to get a fee between 10 to 15 million pounds, as there's still clubs that are interested and want to sign him this summer. So I think he's a player like Kelleher, like Darwin. For me, those three players, 1,000% will leave the club this summer on a permanent. You know? That's my personal prediction. Leo, have you come to India? Thoughts? I've never been to India, and it is on my bucket list. It's my dream to go to India one day. But the problem is, it is such a far trip from Europe, and it's such an expensive trip as well, that if I ever came to India, I would want to stay at least 2 to 3 weeks, which is a long time, you know? So you got to find the right moment to be able to do that. But yeah, it's my dream to go because of how much I love Indian food. Envy says, Leo, I'm in the building. Nice to see you in the building. What's good? Why would Bayern want Keller? Because they're going to, I think they need to sign a keeper because Neuer is hanging up his boots and everything. So I think, or at least he's very much towards the end of his career. So I think Bayern are going to be looking for a keeper if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, Garvit, all the things I've seen mentioned, because Rodrigo wants to leave Real Madrid this summer, apparently the fee they'd be looking for is around the 75 million mark, which is around apparently the price that we'd sell Lucho for if, like I said, a Saudi club was willing to sanction that kind of price, or Bayern, or Barcelona, sorry, Barcelona. Leo, when will you start the Europa League final stream? At 7:45 p.m. UK time. So that's 15 minutes before kickoff. 15 minutes before kickoff. What do you think about Joao Pedro? I saw Joao Pedro. We're being linked with him right now. That's not a signing I would like. Me personally, I wouldn't want that. Leo, tonight I could break the record if it goes to extra time. Oh, Garvit, I hope the game goes to extra time. That would be wild. I hope so. Bayern won. Oh, okay. Yeah, Leo, if you come to India, you could break my record, imagine. Shout out to you, Claylin in the building. What's good? We need to prioritize a center defensive mid signing. I don't know, Jeff. I'm not so sure, Jeff, because Zubamendi was our standout, and he's going to be going to Arsenal. So we also have Stefan Bajetic, who's going to get a chance in preseason. So I think before we prioritize a center defensive mid signing, I think before that we're looking at a striker and a center back, and obviously a left back. We need to get over the line too. So I don't think it's a priority for us. Brendan, I think it's possible, but major outgoings will need to happen. We need to sell Darwin for big money and Lucho for big money. That's the only way I see us having that big of a summer. XX Bill, thank you for the super chat, who says, love the content, Leo. Do you think we get Alvarez? I don't think we get Alvarez. And you guys heard me before. This shows you I'm not that deluded. I know a lot of you guys say I'm deluded, but I think he's going to stay at Atletico. And let me tell you why. There was news yesterday. Let me read you the news yesterday. Yeah, so it's the Atletico Madrid president, Cerezo, who said Julian Alvarez is a player of Atletico de Madrid. He's very happy here. He's our player, and he will remain our player. He was raised at Atletico de Madrid, and he will die at Madrid. Damn. Look, that's the president. And that's why I don't think we'll sign him. He only joined a year ago. And they're going to be confident that they can go for the title again next season. Or they're going to at least try to fight for it. Be in a title race. So, nah. The two players that I'm not even going to say are possible anymore are, and KJ, you're going to be happy to hear this as a Newcastle fan. I think Isaac is out of the question. I think he's 100% going to stay at Newcastle. And I think Alvarez now, especially with this news from yesterday, I think is out of the question. I think we don't sign either of them. Unfortunately, because I told you guys, those were my initial dream signings were those two players. I saw Fabrizio Romano posted about Joao Pedro. I would not be that hyped about that signing, I gotta be honest. You'll never walk alone. Love from Australia. Big up in the building. Hot take. Atletico wins La Liga next season. Do you see, Tarin? That shows like they have a chance next season, and that's why I don't think he'll leave the club, unfortunately. Flay to Slay, thank you for the super chat. Who says Lucho to Barca and Wirtz to play left wing. I'm not so sure. Has he played a lot on the left wing? Let me check right now. Actually, what positions he's occupied. Let me check. But yeah, what's for sure is Wirtz is very versatile. That there's no doubt about. He's very versatile. I just want to check what positions he occupied. Let's check. I just want to check what positions he occupied. Yeah, look. Obviously, he's that elite that he can be a difference maker in all different positions. But let me tell you guys, on transfer market, I'm checking the different positions he played. So Florian Wirtz has played 159 career games in attacking midfield. He's played 11 as a center forward false 9, 11 as a right winger, and only 9 games as a left winger. So geez though, guys, he's played 4 games as a second striker. And you know what his record is as a second striker? I know it's a very small amount. Big up Dream Point, thank you for the support. I appreciate it, Dream Point. Yeah, so guys, Florian Wirtz has played as a second striker 4 times. You want to hear his record in that position? 4 games, 3 goals, 3 assists, 6 goal contributions from 4 games as a second striker. I don't know who that was against, but it just shows it, bro. He can be he could be lethal in the final third. Check today's Bayern Space tweet. What's Bayern Space tweet, Rodrigo? No, hear me out. Like, Gravenberch can't compete in the UCL and the Prem each week. I agree, it's affected him. But Jeff, I think if Slot backs Bajcetic, I could see him being a rotation player with Gravenberch. I can see it. I rate Bajcetic so highly. So I think it all depends. If in preseason Slot decides that he doesn't back Bajcetic to be successful in his team, then I do think we sell him this summer. I do think so. What about as a single striker? Okay, Garvit, let me check. As a center forward, he has 8 goal contributions in 11 games. That's still good. 8 goal contributions from 11 games as a sole center forward. And then as a right winger, he has 7 goal contributions from 7 games. So, bro, I'm telling you, he's versatile. But it's true, he hasn't played many times on the left wing and right wing. Yo, Rafael, nice to see you in the building. What's good? Hi, yes, I'm going to be streaming the Spurs versus United game tonight. I'll be live 15 minutes before kickoff. 15 minutes before. Babat, I think there's a good chance Kostas does leave this summer because we're going to be signing a first team left back. And I think Robbo will stick around. Yeah. Nah, talks football. Biku, I think we're definitely signing a center back this summer. But I think our priority right now is extending the contract of Ibu Konate. I think that's our priority because he obviously only has 1 year left. And I think it's extremely difficult to replace him. So I think right now we're more focused on extending Ibu than we are on signing a new center back. I think so. Adam Wharton, bro, I would love him, but I think he would cost too much money. Because center mid or center defensive mid isn't a priority for us this summer, I'm not so sure we sanction so much money for Adam Wharton. Even though I would love it. Yeah, look, Ziad says Wharton is too expensive and we have other signings to focus on. Exactly. That's what I was saying. But, bro, I would love Adam Wharton. I rate him so highly. He's incredible. Bro, Leo Cherki. Yeah, I think Ryan Cherki is our backup option if Wirtz doesn't work out. If Wirtz ends up choosing Bayern, I think we go for a Ryan Cherki or Xavi Simons. Ryan says, Leo, I don't agree that we should keep Stefan Bajcetic. What do you think about Adam Wharton from Crystal... Wharton as the new defensive mid? He's really good. Yeah, like I said, I rate him so highly from Crystal Palace, but I think it would cost so much money to bring him in that I don't see us putting that much money in that position because Gravenberch has shown to be incredible in that position. So I think more so we're looking, like you were saying before, Gravenberch has been overplayed this season. I think we're more so looking for a player that can rotate with Gravenberch And I think Stefan Bajcetic is good enough to be that type of player. I really think so. So this preseason, we'll know. We'll know whether Slot backs him to succeed or not. And like I said, if he doesn't, I do think we sell him this summer because I think we could get 30 million for Bajcetic. Barcelona showed interest last summer. I think there'll be lots of clubs interested if Slot decides he's not a player for him. I hope he is though, like I said, because for me, I rate him very highly, very very highly. If so, I want to appreciate your English. Thank you, Babad. Yeah, French is my first language, but I did do all my schooling in the US, so that's why English for me is a very natural language, you know? Who do you think will be the impact signing this season, excluding Wirtz? Hard to say, bro. I guess maybe Kirkez. He's incredible. Probably Kirkez. Fadi says, do you think Salah will win the Ballon d'Or? And if yes, who's going to be second and third? As much as, trust me, I wanted Salah to win the Ballon d'Or so badly, I don't think it's going to happen. The reason I don't think it's going to happen is because Barcelona were more impressive. They went further than us in the Champions League. Lamine Yamal was crazy in the Champions League. Same with Rafinha. They won their league title, but they also won their domestic cup. So I think a Barcelona player is more likely to win the Ballon d'Or than Mohamed Salah. And if it's a Barcelona player, I think it's 50-50 between Rafinha and Lamine Yamal. I think it's 50-50. Me personally, I would say if I could vote, and this shows you I'm not too biased, because trust me, I love Mohamed Salah more than anything. Look, he's on the back of my shirt. But unfortunately, I think Salah right now has 1 goal in his last 10 games. The way he's just ended this season, for me, means that Salah's not going to win the Ballon d'Or anymore. And trust me, my dream is that he had won it. I would have loved that. But I'm not going to be out here that biased. If I could vote for someone and be unbiased, for me, every time I've watched Barcelona in the big games this season, for me, it's been Lamine Yamal. I know Rafinha has more goal contributions. I was actually checking this yesterday. I think Rafinha has something like 56 goal contributions in all comps or something, and Lamine Yamal has 39. So Yamal has a lot less than Rafinha, but every time I've watched Barca, it's looked like he's like the lifeblood of that team. Like he's the one that stands out for me, even if he has less goal contributions than Rafinha. So if I could vote on it today, I would vote for Lamine Yamal, personally. And trust me, I was backing Salah to do it 2 to 3 months ago, but he just hasn't kept up the pace. Natalia says, hi Leo, everybody's talking about Lucho going to Barcelona. What a sad thing, I know. Natalia, I think if they're able to come up with the funds, which is reportedly 75 million, I think he goes to Barca this summer. I think he will. But it all depends if Barcelona can gather the funds with financial fair play and everything like that. Understand Joao Pedro can leave Brighton in the summer as he wants a new chapter, and Liverpool is one of the clubs interested in the Brighton striker. But guys, Fabrizio Romano says Brighton are looking for a transfer fee of around 70 million euros. Bro, this is what I mean. People are saying, "Oh, we'll never spend the money on Wirtz," but look at the type of money teams are asking for players that aren't that good. Like Joao Pedro, yes, is a good player, but 70 million euros? That seems like a lot. How many homegrown players we need? I'm not exactly sure, but obviously one of the reasons we are very happy to be getting Frimpong as well is because he fills a homegrown spot. Jeremy Frimpong. Jeremy. $70 million for Pedro? I know, that's what Fabrizio just said. For me, that's not worth it. I would not go for that. As talented as he is. We're getting Gyökeres. I think Gyökeres is going to go to Arsenal. I definitely think. In your opinion, who would be the best center back for Liverpool? My dream is we extend Ibu Konate and we sign Jorel Hato, because I think it would be a real mistake to let Ibu Konate leave this summer, or leave on a free, obviously even more so next summer. But given, I think the smartest thing is to extend Ibu Konate's contract. Whatever center back we get won't be a starting center back. So it needs to be someone young who's going to develop and improve and be okay with being a squad player initially. And that's someone on along the lines of a Jorel Hato, you know? So for me, he's kind of the dream. 70 million for Joao Pedro. I'd rather spend 70 million on Sesko. Zero. Apparently, they're asking for 100 million for Sesko. Apparently. Hincapi is a great shout. I don't think Leverkusen is gonna sell Hincapi when they're already letting go of Jonathan Tah. He's leaving on a free this summer. Obviously, Xavi Alonso's leaving. Wirtz is gonna leave. I don't think they're gonna sell another key player unless it's a crazy price tag. But I don't see Leverkusen letting go of that many key players in the same summer. You know? Jeff says, I hope Salah can score and get an assist against Crystal Palace so he can break the record for most goal contributions in a season. Yeah, I know. Me too. I'm going to be praying for that. Stormy says, every team shamelessly slaps 80 million to 100 million price tags like this for mid players. It's crazy. But one of the reasons, because top teams are desperate for strikers this summer. So I think if you want to sign a striker this summer, you're going to have to pay over the market price. I think. Schlotterbeck, he would be a great signing. But like I said, Makado Schlotterbeck is the captain of Borussia Dortmund right now. And so the only way I think we get a player like Schlotterbeck is if he's guaranteed to be a starting center back for Liverpool. And the only way I see that happening is if Ibu Konate leaves. And I don't want that to happen. So if Ibu Konate ends up extending, which is what I'm personally hoping for, I don't see us signing someone like Schlotterbeck, like I said, because he's the freaking captain of Dortmund right now. So why would he go from being the captain of Dortmund to being a backup center back for Liverpool? I just don't see that happening. I really don't. Højlund is going to be sold for 100 million. Oh, God. Imagine. My brother. Robertson just did a post for Trent. Look. Robbo just did a post for Trent. Oh, it's not working. But he says, my brother, Trent, where to even start? It's been an absolute privilege watching you grow from a boy to a man over the last 8 years. You've won it all and created amazing memories along the way. I want to thank you for constantly pushing me to new limits and setting the bar so high that I had no choice but to follow. You're going to be a huge miss around the training ground and an even bigger miss on the pitch. I hope all the hard work you put into this club, the moments you've given us, and the massive contributions you've made are recognized as they should be. Wingmen, one last time. Damn, the emotions. They've really been the most incredible fullback pairing I think I'll ever see. Look at that fullback pairing. They were on another level. Damn, the emotions. Damn, the emotions. I still can't believe Trent's leaving. Genuinely. I still can't believe he's leaving. What do you think about Szoboszlai becoming the center forward when Wirtz comes? I don't think that's out of the question either. Szoboszlai is an incredible presser of the ball and he's very versatile. So I don't think that's out of the question, genuinely. Is Kirkez joining us? I think, yeah. Slightly shameless from me there. I can't lie. Who should we get as a striker? Like I said, because the striker market is so difficult this summer, I think one of the reasons we're pushing hard for Wirtz is he could play in the false nine or Subasai could play in the false nine. That's what I think could happen. Orlando, I just hope Stefan Bajcetic gets an opportunity this season. I really hope he does because I really do rate him highly. And I think he could save us a lot of money in the market because we got him for dirt cheap when he joined us. For such little amount of money. When are Liverpool playing Palace? On Sunday. That's when the trophy lift is. On Sunday. Now you're making things right, Patrick. Oh, the link up between Frimpong and Wirtz. That's my dream. Noah, the Dubai dude, says your videos make me super happy and makes me feel closer to Anfield. Thank you, Noah, for the support. Big up to you in the building. Big up to you. I think Slot might have an idea on how to work on Bajcetic. I freaking hope so. Because if he does, then he's going to be some player for us, guys. Trust me. And I didn't get to watch Las Palmas this season because I don't watch enough of La Liga. But apparently he's already become a fan favorite over there. Like, he really impressed in that loan spell. So I hope that gives him some kind of momentum and confidence because, like I said, if he stays fit, for me, he can be an incredible kind of 6 option alongside Gravenberch. If we have those two rotating, bro, for me, that's incredible. But it's true, I'm basing that off of what I saw a few seasons ago. I think it was the 2020-2021 season, right? Where we had the midfield crisis and he stepped up. Was it that one? I think it was the 2020-2021 season. Novar says, as a Man United fan, your passion for Liverpool is out of this world. So respect. Thank you, Novar. Good luck tonight in the really important game. And I'm sorry, but there's a good chance. Not a good chance. I'm going to be supporting Spurs tonight. So I'm sorry. That's just how most Liverpool fans will be tonight. That's just the reality. Yo, Dean B says, I'm in the building. Who do you think's winning the Europa League? I do think United will win the Europa League. I definitely think they will. But tonight I'm still going to be hoping somehow Spurs can pull off a miracle. Somehow. I think it's important we get him if Lucho leaves. Thank you, MSS. If we saw both Jota and Darwin, do you think we buy Wirtz and play him as a false 9 or another striker like Joao Pedro? I think there's a good chance we play him as a false 9 or Subasai as a false 9. And rather for going for a striker like a Joao Pedro or a Benjamin Sesko, we go for, like I said, either Subasai in the false 9 or Wirtz in the false 9, and we keep Jota as a squad player. And then I think we sign a winger. So like I said, a Rodrigo or Anthony Gordon. But that's only if, like I said, Lucho and Darwin leave. Because if both of them leave, that'd be bringing in major funds. Major funds. But like I said, I think the striker market is very scarce this summer. And if we do want to sign one of the options, it's going to cost big money. Unless it's Gyökeres, but to me it seems like he's off to Arsenal. Yeah, Babat, I could see Frimpong being used as a right mid, especially when Salah is AFCON. Especially. If Bajcetic joins us, will Endo leave? I don't know. That's a good point. I don't know what will happen with Endo this summer. I really don't. But it seems like he's happy still being a squad player. Opinions on Gurasi, bro. There's no way we'd spend 70 million on a 29-year-old striker. No chance. That's just not how we do our business. We almost never sign players of that kind of age. I know he just turned 29 in March, but still, I don't see us spending 70 million on a 29-year-old. I would be very surprised if that happened. I think we'd rather spend big on a younger player that we can develop and mold into an even better player. Wataru can't leave. He's a fan favorite. I know. How do you feel about Liverpool turning into Dutch FC? If that's what Slot believes will make us win the whole lot, then I'm all for it. He's proven already he's a winner, so I'll let him do his thing. Leo Gyökeres wants United over Arsenal. You think he'd go to United over Arsenal? Jeez, that would be a blow. Jeez, that would be a blow for him. For Arsenal, I mean. Big blow for Arsenal. If that was the case. Dean B, I was saying before, I don't think Alvarez will leave Atletico Madrid this summer. So no. I don't think we get him. Even if Lucho leaves. No, no VAR. I'm sorry to hear that. So you're going to watch the game on replay and just not look at the score? What are you going to do for the game tonight? Do you think that 2026 will be the final year? I mean, I think after the 2 years, unless he's still playing at his highest level, I think it probably will be the end. I think so, yeah. Unfortunately. Unless, like I said, he's still delivering crazy numbers and Liverpool want to give him an extension, I think he would say yes to be able to try to break even more records. But it all depends if he can still be at that elite level in 2 years' time. So we'll have to see. Has Jeremy officially left Germany? Does he live in Liverpool already? I mean, Garvin, it takes time to like buy a house and everything like that because that's what he'll do. But he is in Liverpool. He flew to Liverpool on Sunday and he passed his medicals. Garvin on because there's two parts to the medicals he did. He passed one on Sunday and on Monday. On Tuesday, we got confirmation that he passed his medicals. And now, in the next 24 hours, he's signing all the contracts to officially be a Liverpool player. So he's still in Liverpool right now. Jeremy Frimpong. Okay, what was the post that Robbo. I'm supporting Spurs tonight too. You're not the only one. Bro, the part about the Robbo post that gets me is when he said, look, I hope the massive contribution you have made are recognized as they should be. That for me gets me. That gets me from the Robbo post. That really gets me, bro. That's emotional right there. That's emotional right there. And I'm not sure that I don't think he's going to get a reception at Anfield. I really hope that doesn't go massively wrong because I do think Liverpool will prepare something. Guys, what do you think Liverpool's going to do on Sunday? I do think they'll prepare something for Trent's final game as a Liverpool player. I just think it could be a hostile atmosphere if he gets some kind of farewell. But I think the club will do something. But I just hope it doesn't go badly wrong, because obviously the focus should be on us lifting the Premier League title and not on Trent on Sunday. You know what I mean? Robbo's message for Trent's last game on Sunday. I hope the massive contribution you have made are recognized as they should be. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Charlotte, thank you very much for the super chat. Who says annoys me? He's left. He shouldn't get more recognition than anyone else. But Charlotte, what kind of last message would you give to Trent in his final game on Sunday? I think probably he will. I don't know if he'll play or not, but obviously it's going to be his last ever game probably for Liverpool. And I, in previous seasons, even when Naby Keita left, for example, we prepared some kind of thing. I was at that game. Like he got to hold up like memories of his time at Liverpool. So I think the club will prepare something for Trent, but I just don't know what the reaction will be like from Anfield, because obviously we know what happened against Arsenal with all the booing. But what do you guys think will happen on Sunday? What do you think will happen? Give him a plaque, a few like with the memories. Toby says, a few claps, but don't give him a mic. I think that's probably a good in between. We have a new right back. We should look at the future, not the past. So glad Adidas is back. I agree. Who's your favorite player from PSG? Bro, I wish we had signed him. Kvaradona. He's such a joy to watch. The Georgian winger, left winger. Not gonna lie, I don't want Lucho to Barca because he's expensive for me, and he's kind of. Wait, so Rafael? Are you a Barca fan? Rafael, are you a Barca fan? When is Liverpool going to post about Frimpong joining? Potentially today, Joanna. Because in the last 24 hours, he signed his final contracts to become a Liverpool player. So I think it could happen today or tomorrow. Because he's in Liverpool as well. G says, what about English players in the Liverpool first team? We have so many foreign players now, and also Jones or Elliott might leave. I think, for example, an English player we could bring in this summer, Gordon, is one that we've been linked with. There's a few other names, but the one that comes to mind is potentially Gordon. But yeah, at least Frimpong fills a homegrown position, even though he's obviously Dutch. he fills a homegrown spot because he played 9 years in the City Academy. Will you watch the Champions League final? Yes, space. I'll be live for the Champions League final on here. Barca offering too much for Lucho, we take the deal. Yeah, it all depends on if they can offer, like I said, the money that we would be willing for, then I think it can happen. Only way I think it can happen. Oh, you're a Barca fan? I think he could really succeed for Barca, though. Really succeed. Doing a Scouse accent when meeting Gravenberg was hilarious. He nailed it. Maybe in his announcement video, he does another Scouse accent. It's possible. 80 million is too much. Bro, Lucho is a top player. That's the type of... You prefer having Chiesa than Lucho? No way. Well, then go for him because he's a lot cheaper. Big up LFC Avery. Thank you very much for the super chat. It says, hey Leo, won't be here during the final live, but donating in advance to say, come on, you Spurs. Also, I love the lives more often recently. Yes, LFC Avery, that's the plan during the summer because it seems like it's going to be such a busy summer for us. I want to do more lives because there's just so much to discuss given the type of business we're trying to do. But big up Alice Avery. Thank you as always for the support. Lucho could be like the new Coutinho deal. Yeah, except we'd be asking more around the 80 million mark, but still. Greg says, I really want Spurs to win it, man. Heung-min Son deserves a trophy in his career. I totally agree. Kane broke the curse this season. Son needs to do the same. Come on, Spurs. Yeah, I'm excited for tonight. Dream signing for Liverpool this summer. Initially, Novar, I was saying Alvarez, that's out of the question. Initially, I was also saying Isaac, that's out of the question. So I guess now it is Wirtz because it seems like that one is actually possible. So I'm going to say Florian Wirtz is my dream. The Dutch chemistry between the Dutchies is gonna be insane next season. I agree. Thoughts on Chinese food? LFC Review, I like Chinese food, but for me it's a bit heavy. It's a bit heavy. That's why I don't have it often. But I do like. I think I like every type of food, honestly. The only one I haven't loved so far, and sorry, there might be some Indonesians in the building who aren't happy, but for me, I haven't loved the Indonesian food I've tried. That's the one cuisine where I feel like I need to go to the country to properly give it a try because it's been so sweet when I've tried it. You'll never walk alone from Bodo, Norway. Nicolaj, big up to you. You almost made it to the Europa League final. That was so close. Son doesn't deserve anything. Nah, he does deserve. I love Heung-min Son. I'm going to be hoping he lifts his first trophy tonight. Rio Enma in the first team next year. Bro, I hope he gets more opportunities. He's an absolute baller. I hope so. Much love, Anish. Good luck in your studying. And yeah, I think those deals are possible, Kirkez and Wirtz, because again, players will be leaving this summer. That's how I think we get the money for them. But they're both difficult negotiations. On the one hand, because Bournemouth want £45 million for Kirkez and Man City have entered the race. And then on the other hand, Bayern Munich are pushing heavily for Florian Wirtz. And Leverkusen want around £125 million for him. So yeah, on both sides, they're going to be difficult deals to get done, but we're definitely in the race. That's for sure. We're in the race for both. Footy X says Lucho versus Trent in the El Clasico, bro. Imagine that happens. That would be wild. Imagine that happened. Shout out to you, Avery. Yes, shout out to you. You saw that I just posted on Liverpool goals. Big up. Charlotte says same with Chinese food. Chinese food in China is way lighter, healthier, fresher. European American Chinese food is rough. Wow. Damn, now I want to go to China so badly. Charlotte, so you've been to China and you've tried? I would really, really love to go to China. It's actually especially the countryside because one of my best friends from, and she was on a stream before. You guys have seen, some of you OGs will remember her. One of my best friends, Delphine. She lives in New York, but she's China, like her whole family's from China basically. I really want to do a trip to China with her because her grandparents and some of her family are in the countryside, so they're not in one of the big cities, and that's what I really want to visit. But yeah, Delphine, my friend Delphine, she was here for the first game of the season against Ipswich because she came to visit in Iceland this summer. Delap replaces Darwin. I would be happy with Delap as a squad attacker, but not as our starting number 9. I don't think he's quite ready for that step up just yet. But as a squad player, fantastic. But I think that only happens if, for example, Diogo Jota leaves and if he's willing to accept that kind of role, which I don't see happening because he could start for a lot of clubs. Footy X Edit says, how long do you think Slot stays at Liverpool? How am I supposed to know? I never thought Jurgen Klopp would stay that many years. So hopefully many years and hopefully he continues to be successful, you know? But I have no clue. Rafael says, Leo, who do you think Barca should sign this window? You know better than me. I don't know your team well enough. But clearly the reliable journalist is saying that your number one top priority signing is Luis Diaz. So let's see what ends up happening. Let's see. Good luck, Zid, on your Arabic exam. Good luck, good luck. Is Julian Alvarez possible right now? No, not possible. A new striker and a center back. A stormtrooper. So you think Lucho maybe could play as a striker in rotation with Lewandowski because Lewandowski is getting old for Barca. Trust me, Leo, our striker problem is way worse. Who do you think is going to take free kicks now that Trent is gone? I think Soboslai or Alexis McAllister. Either Soboslai or Maka. I think they'll be rotating between the two of them. Big up, Toby. Thank you very much for the super chat, who says Lucho needs more respect. 20 goal contributions this season. 3rd ranked winger in Europe behind Vinny and Rafinha on a very low wage. If we were linked, we'd want him. Absolutely, Toby. I completely agree. Completely agree with you. I think he deserves more respect within the Liverpool fan base, and I think we've definitely been underpaying him, so I could understand him leaving. But the only thing I will say is because of his age, Toby, I think that's one of the main reasons we'd be willing to listen to a big offer this summer, because it would allow us to dive into the market. And like I said, I think the 2 players we probably have in mind, if we end up selling Lucho, Toby, are Rodrigo and Anthony Gordon, who are both much younger than him, you know? So it would be a way basically to reinvest for the future for players that could come in and already be top players. I mean, Rodrigo is 24 years old and Anthony Gordon is, let me check. Gordon. Anthony Gordon, I think he's 23. Hold on. 24. So they're both the same age. Gordon and Rodrigo. Are you... Yeah, I'm really excited for the Adidas. Really excited for the new Adidas shirts next season. Hyped. Has Frimpong signed? Yes, he has Hydra. It's happening in these 24 hours. And he'll probably get announced maybe today or tomorrow. Who do you think wins in the playoffs? Sheffield or Sunderland? Sunderland. Fell in love with Liverpool because of you. Glazed them so good. You said we'd win the draw. I was interested in the club. Big up Zir. Do you think Slot has to play Rio Anma more? Potentially next season, yeah. The problem is we already have a lot of players on the left wing, and I think Rio Enma's best position, LFC fan, is Rio Enma. So, yeah, it's going to be difficult for him to get game time. But he's clearly highly rated by us. Very highly rated by us. Let's see if there's any... let me check if there's any update. Thiago Alcantara fan, nice to see you in the building. I believe the Wirtz one can happen. I believe. Even though it's a very difficult deal to get done. But it seems like we're pushing hard. Very much so. Agreed, I want Sunderland to go up. We already have Burnley and Leeds up. So to have Sheffield up would make a pretty underwhelming lineup. What do you think about Konate to PSG? I think we're going to push hard for him to extend at Liverpool, bro. You coming for the parade? Yes, I am, Cruix. I'm coming to the UK on Friday. And spending 4 days in the UK. Do you think Liverpool will spend much... yes, Cesar. It's going to be a very busy summer. Sidesh, I think minimum 4 signings. A right back, which looks like done deal with Frimpong. Kirkez, so a left back. A striker and a center back. I think those are the four main options we go for. Leo, what was your reaction when Liverpool only signed Chiesa last summer? I mean, Rafael, it just shows there's no need to overreact to any window because we ended up being Premier League champions, which none of us could have dreamt of. So it just shows, like, you got to stay calm and trust the process because yes, we had a very underwhelming summer last summer around, but we ended up winning the Premier League. So I'm not complaining about our season. I'm really not complaining about our season. But yeah, guys, that is going to be the end of this live stream. I wanted to go through all the different aspects that were going down. And like I said, tonight I will be live. So I hope to see you guys tonight for the Europa League final. Obviously, United against Spurs. It is such an important game for both teams. So I'm real curious to see how that's going to go down. Their entire seasons kind of rest on those 90 minutes, which is crazy to say, but truly it is. And yeah, guys, so I will see you tonight. And like I said, my plan, my hope is that this will continue to be a very busy window so we can do almost daily live streams and keep up to date with all that's going on. So yeah, guys, have a beautiful rest of your day. I will see you very, very soon. I will see you tonight. And yeah, ciao, guys. Thank you as always for the support.